Iceland employees have been watching you buy products they know are terrible, and they've had enough. They see what arrives from suppliers, they know which items get returned constantly, and they understand exactly what you're getting for your money. I've interviewed dozens of current and former Iceland workers from stores across Britain, and what they revealed will change how you shop at Iceland forever. Some of these items are shockingly low quality that employees refuse to eat themselves, others are wildly overpriced compared to alternatives, and a few are genuinely concerning for your health despite Iceland's family-friendly marketing. Iceland positions itself as the affordable freezer specialist, bringing quality frozen food to British families. But the reality behind those freezer doors is very different. Employees are trained to push certain products whilst privately knowing their poor value. Ingredients arrive in concerning condition, and the pricing structure is designed to make you think you're getting deals when you're actually paying premium prices for bottom-tier quality. In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to reveal exactly which 10 items Iceland employees are begging you not to buy, why they're so problematic, and what you should purchase instead. By the end, you'll know how to navigate Iceland without wasting money on products that employees themselves avoid. Number 10. Iceland Luxury Fish Pie. Let's start with something that sounds upmarket but absolutely isn't, which is Iceland's luxury fish pie range. The word luxury appears prominently on the packaging, creating the impression of quality ingredients and careful preparation, but employees who've seen what goes into these pies tell a different story. A former Iceland employee revealed that the luxury fish pies contain far more potato and sauce than actual fish, with the fish content being primarily pollock and other cheaper white fish rather than the premium varieties the packaging imagery suggests. The fish to potato ratio is approximately 1:4 by weight, meaning you're eating mostly carbohydrate with fish flavoring rather than a protein-rich meal. The ingredient list reveals the deception, starting with potato rather than fish, followed by water, modified starch, and a blend of different white fish species, including pollock, whiting, and hoki, which are among the cheapest fish available commercially. The sauce is thickened with modified starch and contains minimal dairy despite the creamy appearance. The price point of around £4 for a pie that serves two makes it seem like good value until you realize you're paying for heavily processed potato and sauce with minimal fish. And multiple employees mentioned they would never buy these pies themselves because the fish content is minimal and the price doesn't reflect the actual ingredient quality. Number 9. Iceland Cooked King Prawns. Iceland's cooked king prawns seem like a convenient protein option, but employees warn that what you're paying for is mostly water weight, and the prawns themselves are significantly smaller and lower quality than the packaging suggests. The prawns are glazed with water ice to prevent freezer burn, but this glaze can account for 30 to 40% of the total weight you're paying for. A former Iceland seafood employee revealed that customers regularly complain about how much the prawns shrink after defrosting, not realizing they've been paying for ice water at prawn prices. And the company continues this practice because the glazing is standard across the frozen seafood industry. The term king prawns is unregulated in the UK, meaning Iceland's king prawns are often smaller than what you'd find labeled as large prawns elsewhere. The count per kilogram is typically higher than true king prawns, indicating smaller individual specimens, and employees note that the sizing is inconsistent even within the same bag, with some prawns being noticeably smaller than others. A current Iceland employee explained that the cooked prawns are specifically trained items that staff are taught to promote because the profit margins are substantial, with the company paying very little for commodity prawns from Southeast Asian farms and selling them at prices that make customers think they're getting a premium product. The cooking process also means the prawns have been handled and processed multiple times before freezing, increasing the likelihood of quality degradation and texture changes. The farming conditions for these prawns are concerning as well, with most of Iceland's prawns sourced from intensive aquaculture operations in Thailand and Vietnam, where antibiotic use is common and environmental standards are minimal. The prawns are typically farmed in crowded conditions and treated with various chemicals to prevent disease, though residue levels must meet UK import standards. The price per kilogram is approximately 12 to 15 pounds, which seems reasonable until you account for the water weight, making the actual prawn cost closer to 18 to 22 pounds per kilogram. You can buy raw shell-on prawns from fishmongers for similar prices and get larger specimens with better flavor and texture, and multiple employees said they never buy prawns from Iceland because of the excessive water weight and questionable farming origins. Number 8. Iceland breaded chicken products. Iceland's breaded chicken products are heavily marketed to families, but employees warn that the chicken content is shockingly low, with nuggets and dippers containing only 45 to 55% chicken. The rest is breading, water, and binding agents. A former Iceland employee revealed that the chicken is mechanically recovered meat processed into paste and reformed into shapes, not actual chicken pieces. The term formed chicken pieces on packaging indicates heavily processed meat rather than natural chicken. The breading to meat ratio is designed to maximize profit, with breading accounting for 40 to 50% of total weight. A bag of nuggets costs around 4 pounds for 400 grams, containing perhaps 220 grams of actual chicken, which works out to over 18 pounds per kilogram for low-quality mechanically recovered meat. Number 7. Iceland Premium Sausages. Iceland's premium sausages use deceptive luxury labeling whilst delivering heavily processed meat with minimal pork content. A former Iceland employee revealed that premium sausages contain only 55 to 60% pork, with the remainder being water, rusk, and binding agents, compared to proper butcher sausages containing 75 to 90% meat. The pork used is trimmings and mechanically recovered pork rather than proper cuts, and the texture is spongier because of high water and rusk content. The fat content often exceeds 25%, added to create juicy texture, whilst reducing costs. The price is approximately 4 to 5 pounds per kilogram, which seems competitive until you calculate that with only 55 to 60% pork content, you're paying around 7 to 9 pounds per kilogram for the actual pork. If what you've heard so far has shocked you, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because we're about to reveal even worse Iceland products, including some that employees say are borderline fraudulent in their marketing versus actual content. Number 6. Iceland Ready Meals Range. Iceland's extensive ready meals range includes everything from curries to pasta dishes to traditional British meals, and whilst they seem convenient for busy families, employees warn that the quality is shockingly poor, with minimal protein, excessive sauce, and concerning ingredient sourcing. A former Iceland employee revealed that ready meals have high return rates because customers are consistently disappointed by portions and ingredient quality, but the company continues expanding the range because profit margins are extraordinary compared to selling actual ingredients. The protein content is minimal, with chicken curries containing perhaps 60 to 80 grams of chicken in a meal, supposedly serving 2 people, meaning each person gets 30 to 40 grams when a proper serving should be 100 to 150 grams, and the bulk of these meals is sauce, rice, and vegetables rather than protein. A current Iceland worker explained that the ready meals are manufactured to hit specific price points rather than quality standards, meaning the recipes are engineered to use the minimum amount of expensive ingredients like meat, whilst maximizing cheap ingredients like sauce, rice, and starchy vegetables. The sauce is thickened with modified starch rather than being naturally thick from reduction or cream, and the vegetables are often the cheapest varieties available. The sodium content is extremely high, with some meals containing over 60% of recommended daily intake in a single portion, because salt is used to enhance flavor in meals made with low-quality ingredients and minimal seasoning beyond basic salt. Employees note that customers often add additional salt without realizing the meals are already sodium bombs, and the high sodium is necessary to make the minimal protein and cheap vegetables taste acceptable. The meat used in ready meals is typically reformed or processed rather than proper cuts, with chicken being mechanically recovered, chicken reformed into pieces, beef being heavily processed mince with significant fat content, and lamb being processed trimmings. This processing allows Iceland to use cheaper meat sources whilst creating the appearance of proper meat pieces in the final product, and employees confirmed that the actual products never match the packaging photos showing generous portions. The price ranges from 3 to 6 pounds per meal, which seems reasonable until you realize you're getting minimal protein, excessive sodium, and poor quality ingredients that you could replicate at home for half the cost with far better nutrition. Multiple employees said they never buy ready meals from Iceland because the meat content is minimal and quality is poor. Number 5. Iceland Party Food Range. Iceland's party food range is marketed for entertaining, but employees warn that the quality is unsuitable for serving to guests, and the pricing makes no sense compared to alternatives. A former Iceland employee revealed that party food has extremely high profit margins because customers assume party food is naturally expensive and don't compare prices carefully. The mini quiches contain far more egg and pastry than actual filling, and the sausage rolls use the same heavily processed meat as regular sausages with 50 to 60% meat meat content. A box of mini sausage rolls costs around £5 for 300 grams, which works out to over 16 pounds per kilogram for products containing 50% meat content. Multiple employees said they would be embarrassed to serve Iceland party food to guests because the quality is poor and portions are tiny. Number 4. Iceland Desserts Range. Iceland's desserts, including their profiteroles, cheesecakes, gâteaux, and other sweet treats, are marketed as restaurant-quality desserts at home prices, but employees warn that the quality is abysmal with minimal real ingredients, excessive sugar and vegetable fats, and textures that come from processing rather than quality baking. A former Iceland Bakery Section employee revealed that Iceland's desserts are manufactured by third-party factories in bulk, frozen, and shipped to stores where they're sold as premium desserts despite containing almost no real dairy, real chocolate, or real fruit. The profiteroles use vegetable fat-based cream filling rather than real whipped cream, chocolate-flavored coating rather than real chocolate, and choux pastry made with cheap fats rather than butter. The cheesecakes are particularly deceptive, with cream cheese content being minimal and the bulk of the base being cream cheese substitute made from vegetable fats, modified starch, and flavorings. A current Iceland worker explained that customers expect proper cream cheese-based cheesecakes and are disappointed by the artificial taste and texture. But the company continues marketing them as quality cheesecakes because many customers don't know what real cheesecake should taste like. The fruit content in fruit-based desserts is minimal, with most fruit flavor coming from artificial flavoring and visible fruit pieces being frozen fruit processed and mixed with glucose syrup. The chocolate desserts use chocolate-flavored coating made with cocoa powder, sugar, and vegetable fats rather than cocoa mass and cocoa butter, creating noticeably artificial taste and waxy texture that leaves an unpleasant coating in the mouth. The pricing seems reasonable at 3 to 8 pounds per dessert, but when you consider the ingredients are bottom-tier quality with minimal real dairy, chocolate, or fruit, you're paying far more per unit of quality than buying proper desserts from bakeries. Multiple employees said they never buy desserts from Iceland because knowing they're made with vegetable fats and artificial flavoring makes them unappetizing regardless of convenience. Number 3. Iceland Frozen Pizza Range. Iceland's frozen pizza range, including their thin crust, deep pan, and stuffed crust varieties, is heavily marketed as better than delivery pizza at a fraction of the price. But employees warn that the quality is shockingly poor with minimal toppings, terrible cheese, and bases that bear little resemblance to actual pizza dough. A former Iceland employee revealed that Iceland's pizzas have some of the worst topping to base ratios in frozen pizza, with thin crust pizzas being almost entirely base with a sparse scattering of toppings that don't cover the surface evenly. The cheese used is not mozzarella, but rather a cheese substitute made primarily from vegetable fats with minimal actual cheese content, which is why Iceland pizzas don't melt and stretch like proper pizza cheese, but instead either stay solid or separate into oil and solids. The tomato sauce is heavily processed with minimal actual tomato content, consisting primarily of tomato paste diluted with water and thickened with modified starch, seasoned with sugar and herbs to create tomato flavor without using quality tomato products. A current Iceland worker explained that the sauce is applied very thinly to reduce costs, with some pizzas having bare patches where the base is visible through inadequate sauce coverage. The meat toppings are particularly problematic, with pepperoni being heavily processed meat product with high fat content and minimal actual meat, ham being reformed pressed ham rather than proper sliced ham, and chicken being the same reformed mechanically recovered chicken used in their other chicken products. The vegetables are the cheapest frozen varieties, cut so small they almost disappear during cooking. The base quality is terrible, made from cheap flour with minimal proving time, resulting in dense, bready texture rather than the light, crispy, or chewy texture of proper pizza dough. The bases are manufactured in bulk, partially baked, frozen, and shipped to stores where they're sold as if they're quality pizza when they're really cheap bread with minimal toppings. The stuffed crust pizzas are particularly deceptive, marketed as premium products but using the same cheese substitute in the crust that's used on the surface, meaning you're paying extra for more vegetable fat product rather than actual cheese. The price ranges from 2 to 5 pounds depending on size, which seems incredibly cheap until you realize you're getting low quality ingredients with poor coverage and multiple. Employees said they would rather order delivery pizza because Iceland's frozen pizzas are so poor quality that saving money isn't worth eating something that barely qualifies as pizza. Number 2. Iceland Value Range Products. Iceland's Value Range, which includes their cheapest options across various categories, is marketed as budget-friendly essentials meals, but employees warn that these products are rock-bottom quality with concerning ingredients and manufacturing processes that should make any health-conscious shopper avoid them entirely. A former Iceland employee revealed that the value range products are made to absolute minimum quality standards, sourced from the cheapest possible suppliers, and often made in facilities that produce for multiple budget retailers using the same base recipes with minor variations. The value burgers contain as little as 40 to 45% beef, with the remainder being water, fat, and various binding agents and seasonings, making them more filler than actual meat. The value sausages are even worse, with pork content as low as 38 to 42% in some varieties, meaning over half of the sausage is water, rusk, and fat rather than meat. A current Iceland worker explained that customers who buy value sausages often complain about excessive water release during cooking and dramatic shrinkage, but these are inevitable results of the high water and filler content necessary to reach the low price points. The value chicken products use mechanically recovered chicken with extremely high breading ratios, meaning you're eating mostly breadcrumbs with chicken flavoring rather than actual chicken. The value ready meals are particularly concerning, with protein content being minimal and ingredient quality being the absolute lowest available, with a value curry containing perhaps 30 to 40 grams of meat in a meal, supposedly serving 2 people. The manufacturing conditions for value range products are concerning as well, with Iceland sourcing from facilities that prioritize cost reduction over quality control, and employees report that value range items have higher defect rates, including torn packaging, freezer burn, and quality inconsistencies. The quality control standards are lower than for premium or standard ranges, meaning you're more likely to receive substandard products. The price for value range products seems appealing, often being 30 to 50% cheaper than standard equivalents. But when you account for the dramatically lower ingredient quality and quantity, you're not saving money but rather buying lower quality per pound spent. And multiple employees said they never buy value range products because knowing the meat content is under 50% makes them impossible to justify. Number 1. Iceland luxury range products. And here we are, the most deceptive products at Iceland, which are ironically their luxury range items. These products command premium prices whilst delivering quality that's barely better than standard range and sometimes worse than competitors' basic products, all whilst using the luxury label to justify price points that make no sense given the actual ingredients. A former Iceland manager revealed that the luxury range exists primarily to create the appearance of a quality hierarchy and to capture customers willing to pay more for perceived quality, but the actual ingredient differences between luxury and standard are minimal in most cases, with luxury products often being standard products with different packaging and seasoning blends rather than genuinely superior ingredients or preparation methods. The luxury ready meals, including items like luxury shepherd's pie or luxury beef Wellington, use marginally better meat than standard versions but still rely heavily on processing, with meat content being 60 to 70% rather than 90+% you'd expect from truly luxury products. The sauces are still made with modified starch, the vegetables are still frozen rather than fresh, and the overall quality doesn't justify the 30 to 50% price premium over standard equivalents. A current Iceland employee explained that the luxury range is marketed most heavily to customers who want to feel they're buying quality but don't actually know what quality ingredients cost or what genuine luxury food tastes like, allowing Iceland to charge premium prices for marginally improved products that still use bottom-tier ingredients compared to proper premium food brands or fresh food preparation. The luxury desserts are particularly egregious, with profiteroles and cheesecakes that cost double the standard versions whilst using nearly identical ingredients, with the luxury versions perhaps having slightly more cream filling or a different chocolate coating, but fundamentally being the same vegetable fat-based products with artificial flavoring rather than real dairy and real chocolate. Employees note that blind taste tests between luxury and standard desserts often show minimal difference because the core ingredients and manufacturing processes are nearly identical. The luxury pizzas use the same cheese substitute as standard pizzas, but with more of it and perhaps one additional topping variety, whilst charging 50 to 100% more than standard pizzas. And employees confirmed that customers regularly complain that luxury pizzas aren't noticeably better despite the premium price. The base quality is identical, the sauce is the same processed tomato product, and the overall experience doesn't justify paying double for marginal topping improvements. The luxury fish products similarly use the same species of cheap fish as standard ranges, but perhaps with slightly less breading or different seasoning, whilst charging 30 to 50% more and marketing themselves as if they're premium quality seafood. The luxury burgers and sausages have perhaps 5 to 10% more meat content than standard versions, but still fall far short of proper butcher quality whilst costing similar amounts. Multiple employees said the luxury range is the biggest scam at Iceland because it exploits customers' desire for quality whilst delivering products that are fundamentally similar to cheaper alternatives, with one former manager stating that Iceland's luxury products wouldn't qualify as mid-range at proper retailers, and the luxury label is pure marketing with minimal substance to back it up, designed to extract maximum profit from customers who equate higher prices with better quality without actually examining ingredient lists. Okay, I know that was extensive and probably concerning if you regularly shop at Iceland, but you're probably wondering if there's anything worth buying there, or if you should avoid the store entirely. Here's what Iceland employees actually recommend buying if you do shop there, which is basic frozen vegetables like peas, sweet corn, and broccoli, because these are hard to ruin, and Iceland's prices are competitive with other retailers. The plain frozen fruit is also acceptable quality and reasonably priced for smoothies and baking, and the ice cream selection includes some branded options that are identical to what you'd buy elsewhere, but sometimes on special offer. The frozen chips and potato products are decent quality and value, though you're still better off buying fresh potatoes for health reasons, and some of the branded frozen products like Bird's Eye fish fingers or Aunt Bessie's Yorkshire puddings are the same quality as elsewhere, but occasionally available at better prices during promotions. The frozen bread products like crumpets and pikelets are acceptable and convenient for quick meals. The key is to stick to simple, single ingredient frozen items where there's less opportunity for Iceland to compromise quality through processing and cost cutting. Plain frozen vegetables, plain frozen fruit, and recognized branded items are generally safe choices, whilst anything Iceland has manufactured themselves or had manufactured to their specification should be approached with extreme caution. What you should absolutely avoid at Iceland are all the reformed meat products, including sausages, burgers, chicken products, and any ready meals, because these are where Iceland's quality issues are most severe and where you're getting the worst value for money. The party food, desserts, and pizzas are similarly poor value and quality, and the luxury range products are overpriced for what you actually receive. The core problem with Iceland is that their business model relies on making frozen food seem more convenient and better value than it actually is, which means compromising ingredient quality to hit price points that attract budget-conscious shoppers. This creates a race to the bottom where Iceland competes on price rather than quality, resulting in products that technically meet minimum legal standards but fall far short of what customers deserve for their money. If you want actual quality frozen food, you're better off shopping at Waitrose M&S or even Sainsbury's Taste the Difference ranges, where the quality standards are higher and ingredient content actually matches the marketing claims, even though you'll pay more per item. The money saved at Iceland comes at the cost of significantly lower quality and questionable nutritional value. And when you account for the minimal protein and excessive filler in Iceland products, you're not actually saving money on a per nutrient basis. The better approach is to buy fresh ingredients from proper grocers and supermarkets and prepare meals yourself, which gives you control over ingredient quality and nutritional content whilst often costing less than buying Iceland's processed products. The convenience of frozen ready meals isn't worth sacrificing nutrition and taste, especially when simple home cooking takes only marginally more time and delivers dramatically better results. Have you been buying these Iceland products thinking they were good value? Are you shocked by what employees revealed about ingredient content and quality? Drop a comment below and share this with anyone who shops at Iceland regularly, because they need to know what they're really getting for their money. Subscribe for more supermarket investigations, because frozen food retailers profit from you not understanding what's actually in the products and how minimal the quality standards are. See you in the next one.